When it comes to horror, all you really need is one good scene to stick in the mind of viewers to really make an impact. That one scene that can be immediately recalled, taking you right back to the moment you first watched it. Horror has many of them, but today we're looking at a select few. Hi friends, Tyler Nichols with JoBlo here, and I hope you're not too sad that the Halloween season has come to a close. Thankfully, you've got us to keep the scary going and to cover some of your favorite horror films. Today, we're taking a look at some individual scenes that have stood the test of time and have made an impact on us or the genre as a whole. First, we're taking a look at Angela's dance and the introduction to the very weird side of Night of the Demons. Then we're taking a look at what is likely the greatest finale in the whole Chucky franchise, as we look at the final showdown in the Good Guy Factory in Child's Play 2. And don't forget to check out the great WTF on this whole film, as it's full of fun information. Finally, we're heading back to our childhoods and looking at the introduction to the main bad guys of this film, and the ones that haunted our nightmares. We're looking at why Snick is so damn scary despite being in a kids movie, from the classic Little Monsters. So let's join Lance Velchek as he breaks down some of these memorable scenes and what makes them so great.
The beauty of time passing in relation to movies is seeing how defined past eras were. And the 80s, especially horror, have something that we've yet to authentically replicate. You f***ed. And Night of the Demons just may be one of the best hodgepodge examples of everything right from the decade. Simply the perfect concoction of 80s horror. It's a practical effects-driven haunted house story, one that puts its focus on being gory, offensively funny, and all around horny. In its purest sense, Night of the Demons is a party movie, and in terms of vibe and tone, there's one scene that defines it. This is your typical teenage horror setup, a group of friends, a creepy location that seems ridiculous to visit, and of course a really bad idea. The genre tropes were, as they say, long in the tooth by 1988, and something that really helps here, and honestly seems to be the case at the end of any era, is exploiting the trends of the decade. So why not hold a seance in an abandoned funeral home? Our goth queen Angela gathers a crew of misfits for an oddly selective party. And real quick, I'm not sure how much of this aspect is tongue-in-cheek, but I love that nobody here seems to be friends. It's not a group of old chums with, a few stragglers. No. But a handful of pairings that don't seem to connect with anyone else, outside of being basically aware that they exist. Of course, the seance goes to shit, and the demonic entity starts turning everyone into possessed monsters. Night of the Demons is not about breaking new ground, but an exercise in understanding what works and how to do it right. Directed by Kevin Tenney of Witchboard fame, you know what, he really needs to get a bit more credit for giving Night of the Demons such life. The mood here is directly tied to his wise framing and shot compositions. Tenney wasn't one to coast his way through, and honestly, not that this type of horror needs artistic direction, but it really elevates the fun schlock. The way a scene is framed can instantly set the tone. The constant movement and energy brought here lends to the snappy pacing, and helps energize a simple haunted mansion, mortuary thing that our characters are in. Think the corridor point of view of the summoned demon, to the low-angle shots. Well, it's simple, but it does so much. We get rapid cuts and dynamic camera angles. Something as simple as the group discussing what just happened through broken shards of mirror. Dude, it's perfect. Tenney's artistic eye alongside the fun gore effects gives Night of the Demons a certain tone that is unique to itself. It's both preppy and punk, mean-spirited yet goofy, while being as horny and violent as the peak of the early to mid-80s were. And what's against the grain is, mostly, the story is stacked with lovably unlikable archetypes. Stooge is such a prick he may just be near the upper echelon of 80s bullies.
You cannot take this bitch anywhere!
Sal seems right out of the Bronx, yet lives in this quaint rural town. Hilarious and dickish, I do love that he actually gets a mini character arc here. Jay immediately ditches Judy, his date for the night, the second he doesn't get to third base. Suzanne is just horny and bitchy, God bless. And even Angela seems annoyed by everyone at her party. Outside of Roger, which is the only smart man here, he saw what was happening and says, I gotta get the out. And maybe Judy. Everyone here is a jerk and makes for a fun night of death and mayhem. Now, thinking about this movie, I would probably argue the runner-up scene that I believe to be quite iconic and maybe the standout is Linnea Quigley's lipstick scene. The tone of the movie is firmly over the top, but this scene, this quiet moment of body horror feels so uneasy. Suzanne, who is patient zero in the demonic possession chain, is alone in a room and starts to use her lipstick to draw on her bare chest. Meant to be both sexy and eerie, it's for no one but us, the characters alone, just showing that the entity, the demonic force, is more than just about killing, but playing with its food, if you will. And I know there's meant to be an aura of sexiness here, but there's something just so dark about this. It's not using her at the moment to hunt or lure any of the teenagers, but it's exploring the human form. And in a moment of unhinged madness, she takes a lipstick, tube and all, and plunges it into her bare nipple. And also, shout out to the great effects artist Steve Johnson. The movie's fantastic all around, and in particular the realistic chest piece on Quigley. Even in HD, it looks surprisingly real. And though this is not bloody in any way, it's still uncomfortable body horror. And a little trivia, Johnson actually ended up marrying Quigley here. I mean, it was a short marriage. And they met on this set, so hey, you never know. But it should come as no surprise that when I think of Night of the Demons, and I know I'm not alone, at the heart of this movie lies one of the more eccentric sequences in 80s horror. The defining scene, Angela's dance. Set to the haunting punkness of Bauhaus's Stigmata Martyr. It's transcendent, hypnotic, strange, and of course iconic. This is the scene that defines why Night of the Demons has become a cult favorite. Kincaid's commitment is the reason this feels so authentic. She made the dance up herself. As the demonic possession is overtaking Angela and as Sal, disappointed that his New York charm isn't getting him laid, sits alone, and she enters horny, strange, and confident. Music kicks in, nice fear sticker by the way, and Sal does what anyone would. He sits in bewilderment. What the f is going on? Listen, this entire scene is both hot and discomforting, and Tenney letting his actress just wing it and vibe was a brilliant move. Dressed in a Susie Sue-esque dress, which Kincaid totally pulls off. She moves with an ethereal grace. Of course, the music is a brilliant choice that has that driving, catchy beat, but it's set around a chaotic and jagged rhythm. Angela's fluid, animalistic movements. Again, she's just vibing, but you're completely drawn in. And in a modern era, this scene would not exist. This is a full 2 minutes of wavelength, with fireplace lighting, strobe lights flickering, and drenched in the warm colors of red and orange. Nothing is gory, it's not scary, but it's directed and performed like a trance. It's the switch in the movie from strange things are afoot to, oh, we are f***ed. This is Angela's transformation into a vessel for evil. And though Quigley was the first to get it, this is where Angela becomes the de facto leader, the true antagonist. This isn't just a dance, it's a ritual. One that fully plays out and gives Night of the Demons its own sort of magic. Remember, friends, don't be tempted by the dark-eyed sirens, even if their dance seems like a portal to bliss. When it comes to iconic genre sequels, we pretty much all agree on the greats. And though this has always been loved by fans, I'd argue Child's Play 2 rivals the first. And that the popularization of Rotten Tomatoes has just f***ed up what I assumed we all agreed upon. taking the wise move of expanding mythology, going bigger and meaner, yet retaining the threat in an idyllic and grounded, or best you can with a killer doll, suburban setting. As we start the month of Halloween, I'd like to explore why this sequel still stands strong. A few key moments, and of course the scene that defines it. Spoilers, it's the toy factory scene. I'm Lance Velchek, and this is Scene Breakdown. Remake aside, the Child's Play franchise has to date 7 movies and 3 seasons of television. Now, with the 3rd season being its last, it could be a while before we see our favorite Lakeshore Strangler return. But make no mistake, he'll be back. And that's what I've always respected about this franchise, its ebbs and flows, adapting when need be and always swinging for the fences. Now, does it all work? No. But Don Mancini has done the impossible. Kept the same story, the same timeline traversing ahead. No ignored sequels, no timeline changes, no Corey Cunningham.
Okay, I gotta admit, that was humorous.
Which brings me to the first sequel. And listen, but before we get to what's my take on the defining scene, I just want to talk on why this works so damn well. Co-writer of the original, John LaFia, was brought in to direct, and Mancini came back as the sole writer. Now, word in the street says it's because some of the ideas and the character of Chucky himself weren't really up to par on the original, and he wanted to put the wrong things right. LaFia, along with cinematographer Stefan Sapsky, gives this sequel such a fresh and distinctive look. Let's talk about how this vibrant look plays with the expectation of uneasiness. LaFia wanted things to feel like they were from the perspective of a child. And as Andy took the full lead, what would the world look like through his perspective? Now, we have lower camera angles, the reds and blues pop. Even the night scenes are stylishly bright. There's this embellished, almost old Hollywood look here. The big toy factory set piece is electric, filled with yellows and greens, and fully lit as a factory should be. This whole movie pops. It's how to continue what came before, but this changed the look and feel without losing its authenticity and respect for part 1. The one scene I almost picked because, let's be honest, it's iconic in the franchise. And if you were a kid like me when this came out, creeped you the out. The one with Miss Kettlewell. Beth Grant really is good at selling this uptight, crotchety type. This. Child's Play 3 is probably the balance of humor and horror that the franchise has been pivoting to and from. Obviously, Bride and Seed go more funny. But my money has always been on the tone of the sequel. This is peak Chucky. This is such a dick move, but the man needs a body and is playing the field any way he can. This classroom feels both real yet bizarre. Colorful and inviting, yet something's off. And it's most of the movie. The use of wide-angle lenses distort everything to where there's always a slight unease, even if it's just Chucky looking through papers. Andy being locked in that room, in a school with other faculty, in the late afternoon, yet his life is still in danger. It's a ballsy move that could have come off comical, yet it's a standout in the movie. Sure. Listen, a death by yardstick is far-fetched. But the vivid colors, upgraded and fantastic effects by Yeager and team, makes it one of the few things that should come to mind when somebody talks Chucky. And listen, the cast really sells it with everyone turning in something great and fun. Alex Vincent returns and is fantastic. He's older, his acting's matured, he's a great lead. And American Werewolf in London's Jenny Agutter comes off as genuine and paternal as Joanna. I guess she has disowned this or, looks unfavorably upon it since a ton of her scenes were cut, though supposedly the version that aired on TV added some of those back in. But again, for limited screen time, she's great. I feel for her. She has a presence. Garrett Graham plays a douchebag foster dad so well, you actively root for his death.
How's it hanging, Phil?
And listen, if I'm being honest, He'll always be the great Dr. Pankow to me.
Informing young minds.
But the best addition, and one I'm still kind of heartbroken wasn't rectified till, honestly, very recently, was Christina Lisa's addition of Kyle. A cool, sassy teen who smokes, sneaks out at night, and is still a decent human being. I mean, we're coming off a lot of worn tropes of the 80s, and I'm surprised this works so well. I mean, shit, outside of Ash vs. Evil Dead, this is one of the few times giving the lead a sidekick integrates so well. The character being older but still a kid helps bring the gap of Andy's world and that of the ignorant adults. She's the big sister he never had, and an ending with her and Andy in the factory gives the finale more weight. But it's here where Child's Play 2 cements itself as one of the greatest sequels, and the Chucky we've come to know and love, cackle and all. The Toy Factory final act is brilliant because on paper it's a basic chase, cat and mouse scene. Lafia's direction along with Sapsky's lighting and lenses. Now, it probably wouldn't be fair to call this entire ending a scene, though it is the best ending Chucky's had, and a series high. But specifically where he realizes it's already too late. Charles waited too long and just loses it. Brad Dourif gives his best, I said it, his best and most intense version of Charles Lee Ray right here. And let's be honest, this is the best Chucky has ever looked. Doing away with the human brows, which I did like in the first, but gives this doll more of a soulless look. The dirty teeth and gums, and those giant sky blue eyes. It's a better upgrade all around, and with Dourif's emotive performance, even now, he's just not quite there. We get a great low-angle chase through the mountain of good guy dolls, just bright yellows at every corner, and a cool nod to The Shining. It's a fun chase and from a visual standpoint does a lot with something as simple as toy boxes. It's tense, and needing to climb the drop roller is genius. Does anybody remember Discovery Zone? Shit, am I dating myself? Well, they had this exact thing. You'd slide down, have a good time, sometimes you'd pinch your fingers, you'd go back up and try it again. And as a kid, this scene just hit different because I know how hard it would be to climb up this thing with little to no upper body strength. A nice tense moment knowing the killer doll is on its way. And if you mess up, you go all the way back to the bottom. But it's Chucky chasing Andy up with the knife, screaming, where he becomes a horror staple. He needs to rip his own hand off just to escape. Fully human inside the doll, the effects are gory and gross, and you could just feel the pain as it stretches. And then Chucky gives himself a knife hand. This culminates Mancini, directed by Lafia, making Chucky an all-time great. It's both appropriate, cool, and filmically iconic. Stating the obvious,
I hate kids.
A killer doll willing to get what needs to be done by any means necessary. This put him next to the greats on the Mount Rushmore of horror. Child's Play 2 is a masterful sequel that surpasses the original in almost every way. I know, listen, the original's a classic, but it needs to be said. Wisely building upon the mythology and expertly balancing tension and humor.
I want you to look down there and tell me what you see. But he's been there since last night, hasn't he?
They don't make them like this anymore. A statement that at face value is always a bit ridiculous, but like everything in life, it has some nuanced truth to it. I've said it myself, but always try and clarify exactly what about it would dictate such a declaration. The devil's in the details. Little Monsters is a kids movie that is sold as an adventure, family, comedy, and the type they rarely make today. For the simple reason that the time is long past where we understood that kids, through naive explorations, needed to understand that life would be filled with complexities. Monsters under the bed would never be real, but monsters in other forms are. And we told them stories from the innocents, Roger Rabbit, to the very chilling Return to Oz, but never hesitated on introducing a bit of fear. I'm glad to see Little Monsters getting a bit of resurgence with this Vestron release, because when it comes to gateway horror and mature films for kids, specifically those of an older generation, treating children with adult-like respect and responsibility is the thing we lost along the way. Little Monsters did all of this, alongside being a video store staple. So, let's review the movie, discuss why it is still important, and examine the scene that defines it for the kids in us all. I'm Lance Velchek, and today we're going to be doing things a bit different. This is Scene Breakdown. Mr. Tyler Nichols recently explored his childhood with the dark and gritty 90s Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, while Andrew Hatfield explored his passion for video games and horror with Mortal Kombat. And it got me thinking about an early game changer for me. Something that was, more in line with my age, yet touched on deeper themes. The misery of life and the yearning for more, filtered through a goofy monster sidekick and Kevin Arnold himself from the Wonder Years. Little Monsters came out at the tail end of the summer of 1989, with a limited theatrical release. And like many tales we've told here on JoBlo Horror Originals, it made its money and gained a cult following because of the home video market and the boom of the video store. Little Monsters has Brian, Fred Savage, alongside his brother Eric, Ben Savage, move from what I assume is Chicago to a new house in the burbs of Boston, and discover that not only are monsters real, but have been causing all sorts of mischief on children for as long as time has existed. And real quick, listen to my man Eric's accent.
No, you don't have to go. Mommy! No, Dad, don't! Look, Dad.
It feels like home. But why would such an obscure kids movie mean so much to me? Well, because it's apparent that kids don't regularly get these types of stories like we once did. Oddly enough, the intelligence of children in terms of storytelling was respected. They didn't hold our hand. Maurice, played by Howie Mandel, is a zany, ultra-hyper character that feels like if Beetlejuice and Robin Williams' Genie had a baby. A fun little adventure any kid could get into. Who wouldn't want to traverse in a monster world, having the time of your life? Eating junk food, breaking shit, and just living out any and all youthful impulses. Only this is also filled with dark imagery, genuinely creepy monsters, and a human plot about regret, falling out of love, and the need for friendship. But these elements are finally mixed with Maurice being the fun comic relief, while Brian makes his first friend in this strange new world. All set against the backdrop of his parents Glenn, Daniel Stern, and Holly, Margaret Whitten, struggling with their crumbling marriage and midlife regrets. We can have a scene where Brian and Maurice are framing a little girl for putting chocolate handprints on the fridge, then jump to Eric begging that he can be good,
I'll be better,
so his dad doesn't move out. We understood that these adult problems are the things kids could, and that some would face. Linklater said something recently that stuck with me. They didn't cater to kids. Now it's all about kids. And yeah, maybe they didn't care about us, but to me that's more respectful than what we do now. We used to adventure, leave the house on your bike, meet up with friends, and just that, adventure. Little Monsters has the heart of that feeling. Brian gets to eat a smorgasbord of treats, play pinball, and get payback on his bully. There's a moment of kid-like wonder in the exploration of this new world, while on the other side, the one he calls home, is filled with loneliness. Brian bonds with Maurice as a new kid in need of a best friend. Whimsical yet mature, their relationship is steeped in kids' fantasy, underlined with the need for connection. Alongside this, he gets close with Kirsten, played by Amber Baradio, who won the part actually over Daniel Harris. A little trivia there for you. And the fantasy of every little kid has on getting revenge on the school bully, which is Ronnie, McAllister's dick older brother Buzz, replacing his apple juice with piss. I'm Desmond levels of satisfied. Even the line,
man's best friend, his right hand.
A crude sex joke nestled in here like a newborn baby. Now listen, does Maurice get a bit annoying watching this as an adult? Sure. But that's not the fault of Howie Mandel. The man's doing his job. But I can still see, and if I try real hard, I can almost catch the feeling of life on a whim. The laughter at lunch, sneaking out at night, making friends that you may never see again. Though Maurice is, goofy and fun, we have real threats. Rick Dukeman's Snick, his jagged teeth, loose cigarettes, and hunchback. Abusive, angry, and someone you'd avoid at all costs. Then we have the terrifying Boy, a bang-up job by Frank Whaley. The human skin pulled over his monstrous face, alongside his, there's candy in the van attitude. I'm arguing he is still creepy to this day. Add to that the kidnapping of Brian's younger brother, they went hard here. These two monsters represent two types of real-world evil that kids may encounter. The physically violent drunk, represented by Snick. He breaks Maurice's horn, gives him a black eye. This is someone's dad, someone's uncle. And then the kid at heart, sexual abuser in Boy. One upfront and aggressive, the other emotionally manipulative and far more sinister. These dudes alone would push this into an older audience category, but we didn't. There was a time where kids needed to know and see this type of wickedness and understand.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows.
There's a quote by some author with a stud name, a G.K. Chesterton, that sums up something we've lost in children's tales: the necessity of keeping the essence of life real. Fairy tales do not tell children that dragons exist. Children already know dragons exist. Fairy tales tell children that dragons can be killed. Boy and Snick are the dragons, and they can be killed. Maurice comes in for the save with a flamethrower.
You're goddamn right.
And oddly enough, the writers Terry and Ted hated the final product, which went darker and more mature than they had originally planned. And thank Christ, Greenberg was wise enough to see the potential, which brings me to the defining scene. Little Monsters is one of the most clever representations of real childhood I've ever seen, set alongside whimsical and fantasy elements. It's not the most ideal, but I think a lot of us can at least partially relate to wanting to belong, making friends, acknowledging and experiencing the dangers of the real world, a first crush, even down to the darker themes of an unstable home, parents arguing about their sexless marriage.
That's all you want from me, my paycheck.
Well, that's not all I want from you, that's all I get.
Feeling like an outsider in your own house, and of course, saying goodbye. After the dragon is killed, which here goes by Snick and Boy, time is running out. Brian and company must escape or they'll be stuck in the monster world forever. As the doors begin to close, they make it all the way to California in the nick of time. Saved by a bum sleeping on a beach. The effects of the underworld are changing him, and even with the promise of things not being permanent, he knows. It doesn't matter because the adventure is over. This entire experience represents childhood and its eventual end. All the wild fun he had was, and it always is, time and place. That is childhood, and it is time to let go. Brian went from sassy kid to dragon slayer. He got his first girl, friends my ass, and saved his little brother's life. Maurice is the embodiment of boyhood, and it's here Brian must say goodbye. You see, in real life, we don't get a swan song. Just one day, we ride our bikes away to never see those friends again. A crush that just moves away. No longer staying up all night playing GoldenEye. Brian is just lucky enough, story-wise, to have his closure. Where there's a bed, there's a way. And that becomes your memory. That's your bed, your way back. Because time marches on. And what better place to symbolize this, set to one of the greatest ending songs, than the ocean. Brian is now changed.
What are some of your favorite scenes in the horror genre? Is there one that you can't help but think of whenever you even think of a movie? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you in the next one.
Seems like the world is moving on. Didn't stop to look around. Didn't give a shit if you keep crashing down. You can close your eyes but not your skin. Don't believe what you refuse to see. Won't find.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. JoBlo was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.